Hi everyone, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe, and I am here live to take your immigration questions. So, if you're going through the process, if you're thinking about going through the process, then I know you have that nagging immigration question. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments, and then I will go ahead and answer those questions as they come in. I usually come with a topic myself. And today I'm going to talk about applying for the green card on your own based on situations where you're being mistreated by certain qualifying relatives. However, keep in mind that I'm just bringing that topic until you start asking your questions. And as soon as your questions come in, I start to prioritize those questions. So I'm seeing questions already, and so let's go. So Candy Girl Night. Hi there, good evening. Believer Scrum. Hi there, it's nice to see you. So if you have a work permit, can you get a temporary green card to travel? So unfortunately, a work permit would not wouldn't qualify you for a temporary green card. You would still have to qualify through a relative and go through the green card application process to be able to get a green card. 9 feet. Good evening. I'm on an H-2B. How can I extend my stay? So give us a call. It just depends on what your circumstances are, whether the employer would like to extend your stay, whether that's permissible under the particular circumstances of your employment, and or whether you can even transfer to another category. So give us a call, schedule a consultation. Let's explore your options. So I think that's Keedle. Can a person with a misdemeanor on their record file for VAWA? Yes, absolutely. No, when I can't stress enough that if there is a criminal issue, you need to get legal advice, because where there is a misdemeanor, it may disqualify you, it may not. It all depends on the facts. However, if this type of offense doesn't disqualify you, you would still be able to apply for VAWA. And so go ahead, schedule a consultation. Let's talk more about what your situation is. You can give me a call at 561-405-4889 to schedule that consult. Tuk 1981. If you are married for over 2 years before you adjust interview, will you get a 10-year green card? Yes. So once you are married for over 2 years at the interview, you will get the 10-year. So that is the good news. So keep those questions coming. These are great questions, and I am here to answer your questions. I'm here almost every day. So actually, there are very few days that I miss this live show. So if you are on here and you see me and you want to continue to get good information, Tuk 1981, you're welcome. You want to continue to get good information, then or you have questions that you want to eventually ask, go ahead and follow me, and whenever you see me go live, hop on with me and ask your questions. So I believe that's Believer Scrum. Can a person with working authorization apply for Medicaid, or by doing that, will that affect? So it all depends. So usually states do have their limits on who qualifies for Medicaid, and so you'd have to check with your state. Under certain circumstances, for example, if you have VAWA, or if you have what's called a prima facie determination letter, it's kind of like a pre-approved letter for VAWA, they do allow you to get certain benefits, but it differs from state to state, and so you want to make sure that you check with your state on what you can qualify for. So Blossom Gray 408. I was documentary qualified from last year, April, in Jamaica. My husband petitioned for me and my daughter. So in this case, is it that you haven't had an interview, or they haven't contacted you yet? I mean, so far it seems like the process is going on, but I'd want to know what's going on. What is the follow-up question? And it seems like it's cut off. So go ahead and put your follow-up question here. Keep your questions coming. Now, if you want to learn more about me, schedule a consultation to have your questions answered and for me to help represent you on a particular matter, you can go to the link in my bio where you can access the website. You can see the phone number. You can complete the contact form for us to get in touch with you. So, and you can learn more about me as the attorney. So God blessings. After I get divorced, how soon I file for my current partner, it all depends on what the circumstances are, whether you file for someone, whether you received your green card through someone else. Getting a divorce and then getting a divorce after getting your green card and then suddenly remarrying somebody else could definitely raise red flags, and you want to make sure you're protected. So schedule a consultation. Let's talk more about it. My fiance is applying for U.S. citizenship. How soon after we marry can I apply for my citizenship? So if you obtain your green card through the U.S. citizen and then you are married to the U.S. citizen for 3 of those years, 3 years after, then you can apply for the green card. I filed for my ex. So God blessing. B, I don't know. What I would say is, in this case, if you you filed for your ex and then you right after filing you want to get divorced and marry again, that's going to definitely create questions and there's going to be a heightened requirement for evidence. So if you sponsor somebody else for their green card, their spouse, divorce, and then get married and then to go through the process again within 5 years of the divorce, then you're going to be required to show that you have your previous marriage was real, plus the marriage where you're trying to get your current spouse the permanent residence. So you have to be very careful with that. And you would have to come good with the evidence. So Indie Love 07, thanks for joining. Keep your questions coming. If you did ask your questions but you haven't gotten an answer yet, keep in mind that it's a bit delayed on my end. Hang tight while your questions come across to me. So if you would like to call me, my number is plastered all over my videos and also on the website. So go to the link in my bio for that information. So the real Matilda 5 applied for VAWA and also work permit, being called for biometrics. Does that mean I will be approved? So no, the biometrics does not necessarily mean that you'll be approved. But since you applied for VAWA, the adjustment of status at the same time, they're taking your fingerprints to do a background check while the process is pending. But it's good because you could be closer to your work permit. You usually get your work permit after you do the fingerprinting appointment. So Regal Lucian, thanks for sharing the live. Now keep your questions coming. So far, these have been all great questions, and I want to let you know that there's no such thing as a dumb question or a stupid question here. I welcome all questions. So Antonio Surish Paul, what's VAWA? So VAWA is a type of green card that an immigrant can file for if they are being mistreated by their U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse, if you're under 25, your parent, or even your son or daughter who's 21 and up. So believer scrum. Can a person without any evidence to show in a VAWA case even been abused? So if you have no evidence to show, that is definitely going to be a no, because you must show evidence. However, the evidence can be any credible evidence, meaning that they accept a broad range of evidence. One of the most important parts of the application is formulating a detailed statement, and that's what I help my clients to do, is to put together a statement. It's called a declaration that basically provides the officer with detailed information to be able to qualify it as credible evidence. In addition to that, me and my clients, we brainstorm about what other types of evidence can be used to show that there was abuse, to show that they lived together, because there is the requirement that you lived with your spouse. There's no requirement you live with them for a certain amount of time. Your spouse, your parent, even your child, you have to show that you've lived with them at some point. And so there is a lot of evidence to put together. It is a lot of work and it's a complex application process, but it is well worth it. Now, believers, Scrum. Now, I think what you're getting at is with no evidence that it's hard to prove that you've been abused. It's hard to show verbal. It's hard to show emotional. It's hard to show even financial abuse. It's hard to show even sexual abuse. However, this is where it's very important to put together the declaration, as well as any other type of evidence that for example, text messages, a psychological evaluation, recordings that have been transcribed, social media accounts. These are the kinds of evidence that I sit down and talk about with my clients. And basically each case is different. So I talk with them and I figure out what is the best form of evidence for their particular case. So keep those questions. Antonio, you're welcome. Keep those questions coming. And that's exactly why I'm here, is to provide valuable information so you can be informed, and also to help answer some of those general questions that you may have, that I know if you're going through the process, if you're thinking about the process, you have something that's keeping you up at night. TT22, thank you for the follow. So keep those questions coming. Okay, so if your spouse refused to file for you, is that abuse? So it is definitely an indication that there is a problem. So I don't know which spouse would be working in the best interest of their spouse and refuse to file for them. That they would have their spouse here illegally or have them here undocumented. That is definitely indicating that there's a control issue, which is abuse, that they're holding their immigration status over their heads. So in that case, while it is definitely not confirmation of abuse, it is an indication that there is something going on that can qualify them for VAWA. So if you're going through that, where your spouse is refusing to apply for you, there's a bigger problem that we would need to talk about. And sometimes in some cases, individuals, they think that abuse is hitting, physical violence, or something that's outright a physical violation. And that is not true. And even within this VAWA application process, it is very much acceptable to provide a VAWA application based on emotional abuse as well. So keep that in mind. So Iridian, do you know how consular processing timing is? So, the consular processing timing. So no, it just depends on where you're applying. Suel Elisa, hi there, good evening. If I have few shoplifting cases more than 10 years ago, most are sealed. Can I travel to Jamaica? So it depends. If you have what is your immigration status? What would be the reason you'd be traveling to Jamaica? Even though they're sealed, what kind of immigration benefit are you applying for? I would have to know this kind of information to be able to tell you whether those shoplifting cases could affect your status. Now, keep in mind that you have a green card, even though it is sealed, you still have to disclose this to the officer, and it could affect it, especially with it being more than one. But I would have to know, what was the sentence? Were you sentenced? Did you do jail time? How long was your sentence? Did you do probation? What are you applying for? Are you applying for citizenship? Do you plan to apply for citizenship in the future? So I can't stress enough that when there are these types of issues involved, get legal advice, because every case can be different. Even though shoplifting may be a misdemeanor, what can happen is that it can affect you If it's considered a crime involving moral turpitude, for example, that can definitely have a devastating effect if you are convicted for 2 or more crimes involving moral turpitude. So you want to make sure that you schedule a consultation, Sue Alyssa, to make sure that you know your options, you know your rights before you do anything. I am Tin Nikaf. What was answer for consular processing? You need to, it depends on your embassy that's processing, whether they're shut down, how long their process is. Strom 47, what paperwork would I file for my nephew that just got married? So uncles or aunts can't file for their nieces or nephews. So there would be no paperwork that you could file to get them their green card. So keep those questions coming. These are all. So Sue Alyssa, no jail. I did community service and paid the fees. So those definitely indicate, they're a good indication, but it's still, you definitely want to get a consultation if you are thinking about applying for citizenship, or even if you are afraid that it will affect your immigration status in the future. How long does it take to file for your spouse in another country? So that's user 727. I'd say right now prepare for about a 2-year process if you're a U.S. citizen or a green card holder. Shan Stasia, how can a green card holder parent adjust a child that is 21 and older? How long will filing? So if that child, that son or daughter who's 21 and up, must have a legal status. So they must have some kind of status to be able to adjust status. If they don't have status, then they're going to not qualify for adjustment of status, and it's going to be a whole nother process. So Alyssa, I'm in Boca Raton, Florida. I also meet clients in downtown Fort Lauderdale. However, I represent clients all over the country, in all 50 states and globally. I offer phone and video consultations for those who cannot meet me in person, and I have a very efficient system in place to work with clients who are outside of the state. Keep in mind that as an immigration attorney, I have to work with USCIS offices all over the country and U.S. embassies all over the globe. So I am very experienced with working with clients and offices all over. So user 727, why is it taking so long? Unfortunately, there's a backlog and then COVID made it worse. So Ren Lim, hi, what if my ex-husband cancel my green card applications and file annulment? What will happen if I'll stay? So annulment is definitely, annulment will not, if you would like to, if your ex-husband is controlling, mistreating you, annulment would disqualify you from applying for the green card on your own through VAWA. So what you would need to make sure you do is try to fight that annulment and try to make sure that you get a divorce instead, because an annulment, you wouldn't be able to qualify for a green card, and you would have to find another way to get legal status in the United States. Now, if you stay, then you would continue to be out of status, and you'd have to just find another way. SS 5920, what is the status or process date for the F4 category? So F4 right now is taking at minimum 14 years. People who cross the border still have a chance of getting their papers, absolutely. So there is what's called a waiver process where they can ask for forgiveness through if they qualify for the green card through a spouse or through a parent, so a green card holder or a U.S. citizen parent. Then it is possible for them to get their papers. The waiver would allow them to leave the country and apply, get the waiver approved first, and keep in mind the waiver takes a lot of hard work and it's not guaranteed to be approved. That's why it's very important to put a good case together. If the waiver is approved, then it would allow you to leave the country, go to your home country and complete the green card process there. Renlim Casildo, you're welcome. 876 Aquamarine, thanks for sharing the live. DS Jewelry, I come US visitor's visa and I applied for my visa extension. I'm currently overstayed. So if you applied for an extension, a visa extension, and it's currently pending, then there is a way to stay up until the time you've requested, or upon a maximum of 240 days after the time expires. But keep in mind that after that, if you would need to make sure you leave to avoid an overstay. So I am Tinika. Thanks for sharing the live, and keep your questions coming because that's why I'm here. I hope you are all in for a good weekend. And I really like that I'm here now, closing out the Friday night with you. I come here every day still, so I'll be here tomorrow, but I'm glad that I can see you here on a Friday. So keep your questions coming because that's why I'm here. I am talking about the topic of applying for the green card through VAWA. And as I explained before, it's applying for the green card based on mistreatment by certain relatives, the U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse, if you're under 25, parent, or a son or daughter who's 21 and up. Mistreatment can be emotional, physical, sexual, financial, mental. So it does not just have to be verbal. It doesn't have to include physical violence. So have you ever handled an illegal adoption? So with an illegal adoption, I don't do adoptions specifically. There is the method of adopting individuals and then applying for the green card, so adopting children. There are specific ways to do that. But handling an illegal adoption, it definitely not, especially if it's an illegal adoption. I don't know, but if it's illegal and it involves trafficking, or involves, when I say trafficking, a child was taken into the country illegally through fraud or something like that, that would definitely be up my alley as well. My husband's paperwork been submitted since 2019 September. So user 727, it really depends on what's going on with their case. Just make sure that there's nothing pending on your end. Pity Mama 87, as far as immigration goes, adoptees who are deported. Okay, so adoptees who are deported. Okay. So that is complex because there are a number of moving pieces here. So it sounds like somebody was brought to the U.S. They thought they were adopted, and then they were deported because that was not the case, and they probably weren't entitled to the immigration benefits, or may have been. But it all depends on what happened here. So if this is something that happened to you or someone, definitely schedule a consultation, and we can look at some possible options here, because I do have, there may be options just depending on the circumstances involved. Jays, thanks for the compliment. Can I still apply for a green card while I'm overstayed? There are ways to apply while overstayed, but you'd have to qualify through an employer, through a relative, and you would have to qualify for a waiver if you can't apply for the green card while being in the U.S. There are some who can. For example, if you're married to a U.S. citizen and you came in with a visa, if you are the son or daughter under 21 of a U.S. citizen, or if you are the parent of a U.S. citizen 21 and up, there are ways to stay here and apply for the green card. But otherwise, you would need to either maintain status, and if you've overstayed, that means that you're not maintaining status and you could not qualify while being in the U.S. You could still qualify, but you'd have to go through extra hoops of applying for a waiver and then going to your home country to complete the green card process. So user 727, I have put my citizenship in as well. So great, congratulations, and I wish all the best for you. So Ren Lim Casildo, what if I don't have proof like he is verbal, mentally abused, and so controlling. What will I do? So in this case, there are still ways to present evidence, such as a detailed statement. So I help my clients to put the evidence together because it's any credible evidence. And a part of that is to put together a detailed statement that meets the requirements, that when the officer reads it, they'll see it's credible, it's believable, and they will look through it, evaluate what the circumstances were and make a decision based on that. Also, there are other types of evidence. So there are text messages where the verbal abuse can be quite evident. There are, in some cases, I do refer my clients to a psychologist an expert psychologist who does present a good case on behalf of the client to show why they were abused verbally, mentally, emotionally. And so there are different ways. Each case is different, and so it would really I basically formulate a case plan for each of my clients. So user 727, you're welcome. It's me, Robin Lee. Thanks for the follow. Wifey Renee 21, it's nice to see you here. So keep your questions coming while I am here, because that's what I'm here to do. I'm glad that some of you have joined in on a Friday before the fun starts, hopefully. And so I'm grateful for that. And I hope you're getting some good information right now. With B's World, how long do you wait to hear from immigration after sending your citizenship application? So for me, I file a majority of my applications through the online system, and immediately we get a receipt notice. And, it can be anywhere from, 6 months, so 2 months or 3 months for the biometrics, which is the fingerprinting. And then it can go, a citizenship application can go as short as 6 months, as long as a year and a half. So it all depends. You're welcome, Renlim Casildo. And if you're going through that, give me a call. Schedule a consultation. I'm here to assist to make that process easier and to make the best case to the USCIS as to why you need to get that green card based on mistreatment. Hi, good night. Can immigrants who were here before 2021 January during the COVID gain citizenship? So that is not law yet. I think you're basing it on Biden's proposed law. While he proposed it to Congress, I'm cautiously optimistic. I say cautious because I've noticed that it's been at a standstill. They're not really taking up that bill, that proposal. I think that DACA recipients, dreamers, as well as farm workers may get some benefit in the future. May not be anytime soon either, but I think they'll be the first ones to be able to get some immigration protections before anybody, just all immigrants who are here undocumented can get, unfortunately. But I'll keep an eye on this. I am keeping an eye on it. As soon as something comes, if something comes up that's great, like Biden's proposal, and it becomes law, trust me, you will hear me say it. So DS Jewelry, how long does it take green card processing through marriage? So I'd say prepare for an 18-month to 2-year process for that. I have a student loan. Can that stop me from filing for my husband? So it's not necessarily the debt that you have. It's what's really important here is that you meet the income requirements. And so you have to show that you make a sufficient income to support your household. So your household size and your spouse, your husband. So if you go to uscis.gov and you type in the search box I-864P, you'll find a chart, a document that lists the household size, how many people are in your household, and how much you should be making to be able to meet the requirements of the affidavit of support. Wispy's World, while my aunt didn't get a receipt, she mailed the application. What can she do? So she can call. If you go to uscis.gov, find the customer service number and call them and see if they're an information specialist would be willing to search you by name to confirm whether they received the application. Can you repeat about the biometrics? I received my appointment yesterday. How long after will I wait? So with the biometrics appointment, is it to wait for the work permit? It differs based on there's no precise science to tell you how long it's going to take after the fingerprinting appointment. And the processing time depends on what type of application you're filing, what you're waiting for. Is it the work permit or the final interview? What you can do is if you go to uscis.gov and you go to case processing times, you can get an idea of the length of time it takes to process work permits, as well as the application, the green card application or the citizenship application, by looking it up by form and the service center that's processing your case. Tanaji 1, after transferring H1B to other states, but for same office, but from same home. Okay, so I think here you're talking about the authorized, where you would be authorized. Are you still authorized to work in different locations and states? And that just depends on the details of, the employer, the nature of the work, where does is this change of location, is it related to the employer? So if you're really concerned about this, schedule a consult and then we can get in depth. Christina Martinez, could I petition my husband by myself or would I need a lawyer? He has a 10-year probation. So in the case that he has 10 years probation, I would definitely urge you to get an attorney, because this can affect his ability to get the green card. And it can even affect his ability to stay in the United States. So Christina, call me, schedule a consultation, and we can go through what needs to be done on his particular application. So Tana G1, make sure you defer to your attorney. So if your attorney is working on your matter, defer to your attorney and talk through what your attorney is doing to make sure it makes sense to you. Sasvini, I'm waiting on a provisional waiver to go back to my home country, please. So, okay, so in that case, the provisional waivers, I've seen as short as 6 months and I've seen as long as 2 years. So I don't know how long you have been waiting, but it could go on for that long. And COVID, unfortunately, has made it worse. So thank you everyone for joining me today, and thank you for your questions. I am here every day. So go ahead, follow me if you have a question. If I missed your question, please go ahead, hold on to your question, follow me. As soon as you see me go live, hop on and immediately put your questions in the comments. Sasvini, you're welcome. And then I will answer. So I'll be back tomorrow. On the weekends, I think I'm going to start coming on a little earlier in the days. But as long as you follow me, you'll probably get noticed when I'm live and you can hop on if you're available. So have a good Friday night and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.